Good morning. I'm the Reverend Randy Partain. My pronouns are they, them, and I am delighted to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Cleveland, whether you are here in person or joining us online today. We are a non-creedal community. If you're new to Unitarian Universalism, we don't tell people what to believe. We all have all kinds of different ways of defining and relating to the divine. But we have a shared covenant. We're a very horizontal faith tradition. We have a covenant about the values that we share and the way that we choose to show up with one another. And so we welcome people from all kinds of different theologies and backgrounds, all kinds of different relationships and identities, and we create what we hope is beloved community together. One of the things that we often do at this time is we have a land acknowledgement at the beginning of our service. And sometimes we might just let that start being wallpaper and we stop listening to the words. So I just want to name that there were people here when the colonists arrived that were in relationship with this land. Their descendants are still here, and we are in relationship with them, whether we choose to be in mindful relationship or not. And so when we do a land acknowledgement, or when we take a moment to reflect on the history of our relationship with the land and other people who share this land with us, it really is an acknowledgement that there is a brokenness in some of those relationships, and it asks for our repair. And our spiritual values call us toward that work of repair. And so when we do that land acknowledgement each week and talk about the Three Fires Council and butcher the names of people that we really do want to care about deeply, it's intended to remind us that there's work to be done, and that even though we may not have caused the harm, the repair work is still on the table before us to choose. So I welcome you into this place where we hopefully get a chance to repair relationships and to think about relationship in a way that we can mindfully repair, not just relationship with land and with people who have been on this land longer than some of us, but with one another, with our families, with our friends, with our work relationships, all of those places where attention from us creates greater wholeness in the world. And as we do each week, we begin our sacred time with lighting the chalice to signify that we are creating sacred space together. And lighting the chalice for us today is Nate, who likes the color blue and has been with us 3 years now. And so thank you, Nate, for lighting the chalice. I invite you to read along the words of our covenant, which are on the yellow pew card as we light the chalice together. We cultivate trust with one another by celebrating differences, honoring boundaries, and offering compassion and care. We listen to each other deeply with curiosity and wonder. We speak for ourselves without need to defend ourselves or persuade each other. We create safe and brave space for healthy conflict, creativity, and fun. We reconcile through forgiving and making amends when we hurt one another. I'm going to switch to this one. Oh, there I am. As we enter into worship together, I invite you to hear these words from Terlazzo. Amidst the swirl of life's challenges, fears, and even moments of crisis, I make time to gaze at the night sky, to see the vastness there, and to remember that this moment in time is but a flicker, not an inconsequential flicker. For what I do and think now does matter. My work, though, is to let the debris of this world pass by while I anchor myself to what I know is true. Love, kindness, compassion, and caring for this precious life, this precious planet, and all that calls this place home. This is my North Star. With love as my guide, how can I possibly go wrong? May we be together in this place, guided by love in our time together. And we are going to sing hymn number 1017, Building a New Way, which is in the teal hymnal, Before we do that, though, I invite you to take a moment and greet those around you. If you see a face you don't recognize, please make a special effort to let them know they are welcome here this morning. I am really impressed with all of you who were at the auction last night and decided to actually show up this morning. That is just, you are impressive. You're impressive people. We bring all kinds of things into this space with one another when we join together in worship. And one of those things today is certainly gratitude for our auction organizers, our fabulous chefs, the performers who provided entertainment last night, people who donated items, everyone who showed up to bid and spend time connecting and celebrating community last night. Gratitude to all of you. And at first tally, it looks like you all raised $10,000 last night with still, yeah. I'll have a little announcement later on about somebody who went home with the wrong basket and some additional things that are available. So stay tuned for that. In the midst of all of that gratitude and celebration, we also bring other things into this space. A family friend of the Papkins made a suicide attempt recently, and they are only in middle school. So we hold that family in our hearts today. We hope for healing and peace and connection. Hope. We hope for hope. And our hearts are heavy with much that is going on in this country and the world. And yet this person writes, I have hope. So let's all hope for love and compassion and peace. And maybe our stone will be a commitment toward love, compassion, and peace in our lives and the world around us. And a stone of peace and comfort for the family of Anthony Workman, a motorcyclist who was killed in a hit-and-run accident Monday night. Peace and comfort for Anthony's family. It's a whole mix of things life is. So I invite you to come forward at this time if you haven't already placed a stone in the bowl and you would like to acknowledge any joys or concerns you carry with you today. I invite you to come forward during this time as the choir provides us with some music about chaos and hope. We place a stone, yes. We place a stone for those joys and concerns that were shared online today. And as we continue in the spirit of reflection that the choir has invited for us, if you are willing, I invite you to turn to page 721 at the back of the gray hymnal, because today is also part of that time of year where we say the veil is thin, and in many faith traditions we honor ancestors and the departed around this time of year. And there are some people from our community that we want to honor. And there may be others in your life that you want to honor at this time as well. And so if you are willing, I invite you to read the italics part of number 721. They are with us still. I'll lead off. In the struggles we choose for ourselves, in the ways we move forward in our lives and bring our world forward with us, we share a history with those lives. We belong to the same motion. Those who lived before us, who struggled for justice and suffered injustice before us, have not melted into the dust and have not disappeared. Their words remind us and call us back to ourselves. Their courage and love evoke our own. We, the living, carry them with us. We are their voices, their hands, and their hearts. We name those from this community that we have lost in the past year. Marilyn Bentley, Muriel Black, Martha Cohen, John Gibbon, April Likert, John Martin, Katie Martin, Muriel Senseman, Lisa Van Cleef, Wendy Wills, and now I invite you to speak aloud any additional names who lend strength to your life. Sometimes people leave things for us. I don't know if this was left by someone departed or if it's left by somebody who just isn't here today. But it's wrapped up with a nice little ribbon. And I thought I might see what it is. I think it's a treasure map. What do you think? Should we figure out what the treasure is? Yes? Okay. Where are we at? What do we have to do to find the treasure? Walk towards the light. It does say start right here. Do you think that's what is that? A light? There's a light bulb. Oh, a teardrop. The chalice. Okay, so if we start at the chalice, okay. And then somebody said something about light bulbs, but this has an arrow over here. 1, 2, 3, and it's pointing to that. This is our values. So love is at the center, and then we've got justice, interdependence, equity, transformation, pluralism, and generosity. It might be pointing to this one here. But then it's got, did somebody say those were light bulbs? What do you think? Up? Oh, the chandeliers? One chandelier? Okay. You're going to let me find this treasure all for myself? You think I'm going to be generous when I find it after searching for it all by myself? 2 chandeliers? Three chandeliers? Okay, now what? We got to the 3rd chandelier. What do we have to do? If that's the chalice up there, and we're at the 3rd chandelier, where's the treasure?
Right there, but then there's that.
What does that say? Generosity, which was this one over here. So, generosity. What do you think? Where's the treasure?
But then there's the 3 doors.
The 3 doors. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it's on this side of the 3 doors?
But then there's an extra. There's an extra right there.
Oh, do you think that's a wall or a door?
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe what? Maybe a window? X marks the spot, right? So where is that?
In that corner?
In this corner over here? Okay, let's check. Let's check. It's empty? What's this? Oh my gosh, it's a treasure chest. You walked right past it. Reminders about love at the center of what we do, and that looks like something to decorate them with. Dual tip watercolor pens. That seems very fancy. Okay, let's take this up. Let's take the whole chest. You got one of it? Thank you for helping me carry it and find it. We'll go back the way you came. That way, if you want, get right back up. Wow. All we had to do was stick with the directions, and we found the thing. Can you imagine if we got distracted talking to every person along the way? We would never have gotten there. Or, I know, it's a treasure chest, right? You didn't believe me when I said there was a treasure chest. Okay, so there's plenty to share, I think. If you want to share these with some other people, maybe they would be able to take it home and do some things with it. But you have some markers here. You can pick one of these with that. And maybe you'll decorate that so that we can be reminded about love at the center as our North Star, the way our opening works had. Sometimes I get distracted. I'm glad you kept me on track and noticed things. In our lives, we usually have things that are directing us. And sometimes it's obvious, like a treasure map. And sometimes it's not as obvious. And so when we talk about our guiding principles today, we'll talk about the map that we use to guide us toward the things that we treasure, hopefully. Thank you for helping me find it, and thank you for decorating some of our reminders of love. They're busy. They don't care what I'm doing. Each week we collect an offering, and usually it goes out into the larger community, but this week we are collecting it for an internal ministry. What I neglected to say at the very beginning of the service is if you're visiting with us, if this is your first or second time, we don't expect you to put money in the plate, but what we would love for you to put in the plate is a little bit of information about who you are and things that you might need from us. There's a little visitors, I guess it's a pamphlet in the pew rack, and if you put that in the offering plate, then we can reach back out to you and let you know anything that you want to know about our community. If you're online, we could mail you a pamphlet, but it'd be easier if you just go to our website and send us an email from there. Our recipient today is the kitchen crew, which prepared fabulous food for the auction last night. And once a month, yes, we can clap for them. And once a month, we have a meal together. Next week is actually going to be our next potluck, and the kitchen crew has been preparing the main dishes for us. We're talking about improvements to our building, and we're wanting to get a kitchen where they can prepare full meals for us again, because they love to do it and we love to eat it. But right now, they are focusing on preparing main dishes for us. And we want this to be something that is accessible to everyone. We do ask for donations when the kitchen crew is preparing things, but those usually do not cover the full cost of the food that they prepare, because they want you to eat well. So I invite you to support their efforts so that we can continue to make our community meals accessible to everyone, and for there not to be a barrier for us to provide that food for one another. You can place cash or check payable to UUCC in the collection plate as it goes around. You can also contribute electronically. We've got these little blue things also in the pew racks about using Zelle, which is our preferred electronic contribution. And those can go to donate@uucleveland.org. You can also still use Cash App. Those can go to $UUCC44122. Please do indicate on the memo line if your contribution is for the kitchen crew or your annual pledge or something else, because if we don't have that memo line, then we don't know what to do with it. And I'm sure you want us to do what you want us to do with your money. So please give generously and within your means.
And the sky is clear and red.
Thanks for making sure we have all the bells back over here so we don't have anybody that just decides it's time. Esther Hurlburt writes, "It is not always easy to find love at the center." It is not always easy to find love at the center. There is not a set of easy instructions numbered 1 through 7 or maybe 8. It is not always easy to find love at the center. Today in Covenant, we celebrate our living tradition, which invites us to take deep breaths of fresh air into the newness of every day, so our minds, hearts, and spirits will be continually nourished. But it is not always easy to find love at the center. So for today, we gather in Covenant to celebrate the reality that love is at the core of our beings, and that love will guide us if we open ourselves to the challenges which love requires of us. May we accept this challenge with dignity and grace. Amen. There are days, and maybe you have days like this, when having a treasure map does not make any difference. I can have it in my hand. I can know that I want to have that treasure. And then I can be distracted by a thing like, I wonder how cold it is outside right now. I wonder if I'm dressed appropriately for that. Let me go check. And then I'll say, oh, those birds are nice. I love the sound of those birds. What is my neighbor doing now? What is that awful smell coming from my neighbor? What is this? What is this? I get distracted by lots of things. And at the end of the day, I might say, oh, right. I was going to go get this treasure, but it just never happened. All of us have beliefs and values that guide our lives. Sometimes they lead us to treasure, sometimes they lead us to other places. And those beliefs and values come from a variety of places. Maybe they were handed down to us by parents or other significant figures in our first formation. Maybe they emerged from church experiences. Beliefs and values might come from the culture around us, TV, music, movies, social media. Maybe we believe that we have to dress a certain way in order to be acceptable, or that our house has to be pristine before we can entertain company. Maybe we believe that we have to work before we can play. And we may not have examined any of those beliefs. They may just be kind of running our lives without us really taking a close look at them. And some of those may be tied to our protective promises as well. We've been talking since the beginning of July about this journey, the work of the congregation being this journey from current reality to a vision of wholeness. Sometimes I say shalom. And the things that keep us rooted in current reality are those ways that we protect ourselves, promises that we made a long, long time ago. For instance, if our protective promise is to make sure that everyone around us is happy, we may have a guiding principle, because when people are happy, we feel safe. So our guiding principle is keep everyone happy. That becomes a commitment that guides our relationships and the way that we show up. So it's important for us to evaluate and mindfully choose what guides us. Otherwise, we're going to have a tough time moving toward greater wholeness, moving toward shalom. Our journey from current reality to a vision of shalom depends on clear guiding principles. They clarify what we move toward in really specific ways. In a way, it's an ownership of us as architects of our future. What do architects do? They create and design a set of blueprints. So the question is, what blueprints are we creating? With the building, last year we asked a lot of questions about what we need and what our community would benefit from. The answers to those questions led us to a capital campaign that we're just starting now. There are questions about our vision, though, that do not depend on this physical building. Who do we want to be in our larger community? What do we hope people say about us? And these are questions for us as individuals as well as a congregation. Whose blueprint are we living by? Are you living by blueprints established by some other important person in your life? Or is your plan designed by you in relation with your inner wisdom? So guiding principles that we hold are like blueprints, our North Star. Guiding principles are the commitments we make about how we want to be in the world. And guiding principles enable us to show up with integrity even when we're anxious and tempted to react in unhealthy or disconnecting ways. They also give us a sense of balance. When life is throwing all kinds of distractions our way, when we experience big emotions that invite us to react impulsively, guiding principles give us a backbone, a grounding, a clarity about who we are. So in yoga, when we do some kind of a balancing pose, a lot of times we'll talk about having a drishti, something way over there, not something right about what is my foot doing right now, but something maybe even past the horizon that I take my focus to so that my sense of balance in this moment is stronger. Our guiding principles are like that. They're not about the chaos of the moment. They're about what am I focusing on at the horizon that will help me stay rooted, grounded, balanced, regardless of what is going on in the moment right around me. So how do we evaluate the things that guide our lives? Well, the best guiding principles, in my experience, are clear. Sometimes we may have a vague idea of what wholeness or shalom looks like, but we haven't really specified what that means to us. And it's really difficult to move towards something if we just have a vague or foggy impression of it. So I encourage you to write your guiding principles down. Talk about them with people. If I think it's clear in my head and I start having a conversation with another human being, sometimes I realize I don't really know what I'm talking about because I haven't clarified it well enough to put words to it. So the question is, are you clear about what guides you? We also want our guiding principles to be values-based. Guiding principles are expressions of the things that we value. So if we say we value one thing, but we're guided by something different, the thing that guides us is the thing we actually value. If I value making people happy and making sure that everyone around me is happy, maybe at the expense of my own needs, that is what I value. I might say I value interdependence. I might say I value pluralism, but that is not what my actions reflect when I do something different over and over and over again in my life. So we have 6 or 7 life-affirming values that guide us as Unitarian Universalists. Those might be compelling values to you. You might have other things that you value. But our life-affirming values that we talked about a minute ago are a form of guiding principles. They might help define more specific guiding principles for you or for us as a community. But our guiding principles as Unitarian Universalists are we practice generosity, we create justice, we honor our interdependence, we foster equity, we embrace pluralism, we engage in transformation, and we center liberating love. So what do those things really mean for us if we get specific about what it looks like in our lives? How do these define our vision of a hopeful future? How do these values guide us to show up with one another? And sometimes I think we hear those principles or those values and we get the impression from like a lot of religious spaces, we're being handed something. But our guiding principles need to be internal. We need to own them if they're going to really guide us. People are typically externally directed in life rather than being internally directed. David Icke says the greatest prison people live in is the fear of what other people think. The greatest prison we live in is the fear of what other people think. And I've noticed that people are typically led more by our temporary emotions than we are by our life-affirming values. We are pretty impulsive a lot of the time. I have to quote Dennis the Menace now after quoting David Icke, both in the same paragraph. Dennis the Menace said, "By the time I think about what I'm going to do, I already did it." I don't think Dennis the Menace is the only one. Guiding principles are things that we own for ourselves. We choose what guides us. A lot of our unexamined guiding principles are hand-me-downs. Inherited guiding principles are the beliefs and the values that we unconsciously absorb during our first formation. And inherited guiding principles aren't bad. They just might lead us in ways that conflict with the things that we claim we value. So what do you envision? What do you believe? Who do you want to be? And if that lines up with something that you inherited from someone else, that's great. You can consciously choose it and say, yes, you know what? They were right. I do want this to be what I live into. But you might want to change the language a little bit, because compelling language in guiding principles makes them more powerful in our lives. Sometimes we get guiding principles from other people, and the language isn't quite right, but we don't want to mess with it because they've already said it a certain way. And if we would just change the words a little bit, it would be so much more compelling for us as individuals. They said it this way, but I say it like this, and it really has teeth for me. So this might be one of the places where our obsession with wordsmithing as Unitarian Universalists actually pays off. Finding just the right words for you, for this to be something that guides you, even in moments of turmoil or anxiety. You say, oh, right, this is how I said I would show up. And they need to be memorable. Guiding principles that you can't remember also aren't going to do us any good. They need to be accessible. If it's a new thing, if you're saying, I've been doing things this way, but now I'm going to do things this way, you might want to write them down somewhere. Put them in your device. Put them somewhere where you'll see them and be able to remind yourself every morning. When I was working on new guiding principles, I had them on a 3x5 card in my car because I wanted to be able to look at them right before I got out of my car and went into someplace and remind myself, oh, right, that's how I'm going to show up. We need quick and easy access to the things that we want to guide us. And I believe that our guiding principles are better when we use language that makes us smile, when we say something that's positive, instead of, I'm not going to do that again. Well, what am I going to do? What is it that would delight me if I show up in this way? Something that makes us feel good about ourselves. And our guiding principles are declarations about who we are. They're present and active. This is who I am. Not this is what I hope will happen, or this is what I wish I could do. But this is the kind of person that I am, and therefore this is the kind of future that I create. This is the way that I show up in my relationships, because it's who I am. That's a good guiding principle. Now, that's not very specific. I'm going to give you some examples. The other thing I want to say, though, is that guiding principles are not rules or laws. They're helpful, but they also can be flexible. There might be some things that we need to guide us at certain points in our lives that wind up not serving us later on. And so re-examining our guiding principles occasionally to say, yes, this is actually what I still want to be guiding me, or no, actually, I need to adjust this a little bit. That's a healthy spiritual practice. That's part of that reflective life that we talk about in our mental model that we've looked at for the last few months. So some of our guiding principles might come from those protective promises that we talked about. They might be things that confront directly the protective promises that we've made. The values-worded things, the values-rooted things that we want to give our word to, rather than the ways that we've been protecting ourselves. So when I was a young adult, not last year, when I was a young adult, one of my disconnecting protective promises was that I would avoid being blamed for things by having impeccable explanations and making other people look stupid or weak. I know, it's hard to believe, right? I felt shame about being wrong or making a mistake. At an earlier point in my life, I thought that if I did something wrong or if I made a mistake, that there was something wrong with me. It wasn't fixable. And so I needed to do something about that. But as my beliefs changed and I realized, actually, I think I can make a mistake and still be worthy of love and belonging, I didn't want that way of having impeccable excuses to guide me. So my guiding principle now is I take responsibility for the messes that I make, and I clean them up as best I can. I can make mistakes and still be worthy of love and connection. That guides me toward repair more frequently than just trying to protect myself. Another destructive protective promise that I had was to play small and to only aim for goals that I knew to be achievable without much risk. Because again, failure felt shameful. So if I was potentially going to fail, I didn't even want to aim for it. I'd rather play small and succeed. You can't really build greater wholeness in the world if you're just playing small and hiding out. So my guiding principle now is I trust the outcomes of acting with integrity to my values, even when it feels risky. I don't have to prove my worth by accumulating successes. I don't have to prove my worth by accumulating successes. Some guiding principles speak to the lies that we believe about ourselves. At one point, I believed the lie that at the core of my being, I was just lazy. And so I wanted to make sure people always knew how busy I was, because I didn't want anybody to know that at the core of my being, I was lazy. Realizing that that does not work and is not sustainable, my guiding principle now is that I live a balanced life with a healthy work ethic. I balance work, rest, and play. Sometimes I say I balance solitude, community, and service. Or I balance personal relationships, ministry, and self. There's a lot of ways I can say it. And it guides me toward, oh, right, it's okay for me to not be busy during this time when I have an extra hour in my schedule. I can take that time and do something that's meaningful with it without proving to somebody else how productive I was. Do I get any of those things perfect? Absolutely not. But when I miss the mark, those things act as my North Star, and they guide me back and say, oh, right, that's where I wanted to aim. They give me something to recalibrate toward. And I can forgive myself and be gracious and take the next step. If I started walking out that way with the treasure map, somebody, hopefully, would have said, no, no, no. And I would have been able to guide myself back toward the right direction. That's what our guiding principles do. So if shame seems to be in your driver's seat an awful lot, you might embrace a guiding principle that starts right from our Unitarian Universalist values. I'm inherently worthy of love and belonging. If you just start from that, where does that lead you? In a different direction than where your shame voice leads you. You might say something like, my talents and education and intuition and character and capacity to learn are enough. Or you might say, I give up my need to be more or less than who I am. You could say it a lot of different ways. Some guiding principles might speak to a goal that we have of something like self-differentiation. We talked about self-differentiation in a recent service. So you may have a guiding principle that just says, I take responsibility for my own part in things. I use my power appropriately in alignment with my values. I allow myself to say no at the risk of disappointing other people. Some guiding principles might speak to our sense of larger purpose. My guiding principle, like the umbrella guiding principle that I typically go back to, is I foster wholeness. Sometimes I say shalom. Sometimes I say connection. I connect to my inner wisdom and the deeper wisdom of the interdependent web of existence. I partner with other people to restore wholeness to the world. I envision and work for a world where everyone's inherent worthiness is affirmed, no matter their race or identity. I envision and work for a world where everyone has enough, everyone is loved, and no one needs to be afraid. Those are guiding principles. So how does this look for us as a congregation? It's a little tricky because we have this vision. Our vision statement says we want to be known for our warm welcome and fierce commitment to justice. And yet we cannot control what other people think or say about us.
What guiding principle emerges when we say we want to be known for something? It's like thinking of your eulogy. What do you want people to say about you when you no longer have a chance to determine what they say about you? Well, we have to do those things today. We have to be today the people that we want people to remember later on. So how do we need to show up today so that people will know us for our warm welcome? That's the beginnings of a guiding principle. How do we need to be today so that people will know our fierce commitment to justice? And if those don't feel right, we should re-examine our vision. If it doesn't feel right for us to get specific about what does that mean we have to do, then we should re-examine that. Our mission statement, also beautiful: community within and without, spirituality that is ever searching and growing, and justice in action. No explicit action verbs, though. No call for us to do a specific thing. It's the starting point. And it's great that it's a starting point because we can each find ourselves in that somehow and get more specific with it. But if we never get more specific with it, then it's not much of a guiding principle to say community, spirituality, and justice. It doesn't tell me what to do in a difficult situation. So what will we do to honor that statement about who we are? How will we show up in the larger community and with one another? How will we give meaning to those words as North Stars or Drishtis to guide and balance all of our work? And I want to say that establishing guiding principles takes time. A lot of times we have to try them on and see how they work first. We might go through multiple iterations of a guiding principle before it really feels solid and powerful as a way to call ourselves back to center, back to showing up as an embodiment of our life-affirming values. And I really do hope you take on the challenge of clearly defining your guiding principles, but I hope you're patient and compassionate with yourself as you do so. And if this is new work to you, I encourage you to focus on one, just one thing, or maybe two, but not a whole constellation of guiding principles, one North Star at a time. And then when you've clarified that and you feel really good about that and you're like, this is the way that I want to show up in this particular way, in this particular situation, then you know what the work is like, and you can do that with other things that you want to guide you. But take your time with one and make sure it's just the way that you want it to be. Double check that it flows from your values and not from your anxiety. Make sure it invites connection and not something that just protects you. After you have one guiding principle clear, you can move on to developing others, and this will keep the work from feeling overwhelming. And as we get skillful at doing this work as individuals, we get skillful at doing this work as a community. All of us have principles and values that guide our lives. So may we reflect and be mindful about our guiding principles to ensure that they lead us where we want to go, toward wholeness and deep connection with our inner wisdom, with other people, and with the interdependent web of all beings. May it be so. Amen. We are going to sing together a song that the choir introduced to us a couple of weeks ago. It's from the new hymnal, and so it's on the insert in your order of service. It's called Love, Come Take Me Home. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing together.
One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. A little fast in that. I've been a traveler on an lonesome road. Its winding has drawn me away, so far from home. I turn my footsteps and hurry on, but still at the end of the day, I am so alone. So long. show me the way. I've wandered for too long. Love, come take me home to stay. One day I'll find an open door and open arms inviting me in to belong once more. A touch, a smile, a friendly face will make strangers family in that welcome place. So love, come take me home, show me the way. I've wandered for too long. Love, come take me home to stay. No more a traveler, no more to roam, a circle created by love will be my home. We'll share that circle and open it wide, so all weary wandering souls can be safe inside. So love, come take me home, show me the way. I've wandered for too long. Love, come take me home to stay.
If you're a crafty kind of person and you want to take home one of these little reminders about love, there's a few different designs. Our young people did not color all of them, and I am sure they would share. I'm sure they would share. They're not paying attention right now to me. But they're up here at this table if you want to take one with you. Just as a reminder of love as a drishti or a North Star. If you were unable to attend the auction last night, I am so sad for you. I really am. But there are spaces left for a few events. And you can still sign up today in the fellowship hall if you missed your chance last night. And if you didn't pick up and pay for items that you bid on, then the auction team is going to be downstairs at a table. It also appears that one of the craft baskets went home with the wrong person. And I'm sure this was not intentional. Unitarian Universalists aren't like that. Someone probably just mistakenly grabbed the wrong basket. So if you got home and discovered that you had a craft basket that you did not bid on and pay for, please communicate with someone at the auction table about that as well, and then bring it back so that we can give it to the right person. Also, in the fellowship hall today, we are going to be celebrating Valerie Hura, who is here with us, and the incredible work that Valerie did leading our youth academy. This ministry was ambitious, and we were not quite ready for this to continue as a full-fledged McKim Fund project, but we learned a ton, and we're going to be able to carry forward a focused ministry that emerged from the youth academy as the Teen Rainbow Project, and we can learn all about those plans next week at our potluck, but today we're going to be celebrating Valerie and all that we learned as we explored something ambitious and new and learned just tons and tons from that. As I mentioned, next week is a potluck. Bring your sides or desserts. The kitchen crew has the main dishes. There will be a presentation from the McKim Fund team and also a look ahead at what's next. Coming up, November 23rd is going to be our bread ceremony. I'm really looking forward to that service. It's going to be a special time together, so be thinking about what bread you would like to bring to share. And Friday, December 5th, I know that's a bit ahead in our calendars, but Friday, December 5th will be the official capital campaign kickoff. There's work being done even right now, but that's going to be our date of the kickoff. I know we sent something out that said Saturday the 6th. Move it back in your calendar one day. Friday, December 5th. Friday, December 5th. Friday, December 5th is the kickoff for the capital campaign, and I hope you're all able to be there. I think we're turning the whole building into a tailgate party or something. I don't know. But I think it's going to be fun. As we go forth from this place, may we be grateful for the guiding principles that we inherited from others who wanted good things for our lives. And may we be mindful about which of those things we need to let go of and which of those things we want to mindfully retain. May we create a path for ourselves that leads toward wholeness and well-being, shalom in every dimension for us and everyone around us. Amen, and blessed be. And we're going to extinguish our chalice with the words found on the pew card. We extinguish this flame.
Our postlude today is a song that some of you have sung before. It's called Life Calls Us On. And it's a postlude, but it's kind of like a bonus hymn. It's in your insert on the other side from the one we just sang a few minutes ago. So I invite you to rise in spirit, at least, rise in body if the spirit moves you, and sing along. Did I? Okay. So with the choir and with Aaron and with Lucy. So and the music and the words are right there for you. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Here in reverence now we gather for the blessings we have known, with a pledge to one another that we journey not alone. Joy and sorrow make us wise, kin to all that lives and dies. Love calls us on. Love calls us on. Words and deeds of those before us, wake and hear to keep us strong. Lend our voices in the chorus of creation's living song. Courage bids us lift our eyes upward to the shining sky. Hope calls us on. Hope calls us on. Loyal guides in love and duty, lead us with a trusted light.